Before we get into the latest Titans trade rumors, do you think the Titans will make any more trades after last week's back-to-back with DeAndre Hopkins and Ernest Jones? Get your predictions in for me in the comments section of today's show. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let's start with the big name that I don't think ends up getting dealt. That is Jeffery Simmons. With the Titans selling, teams allegedly have been told no about a potential Jeffery Simmons trade. Reporting coming in from the combination of Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport on NFL Network. It was an article, and they shared the byline, so together they said it, I guess. Sources say several teams call Tennessee with one specific player in mind. Two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jeffery Simmons. Despite the interest, those teams are all told the same refrain. It's not happening. Oh, look, this could be posturing. You say no, we're not interested. You try to get a team to up the offer. Normally, I think that goes, well, we have a very high asking price. You got to blow us away and see if you get blown away. I think it's normally how that terminology works if that's what you're trying to do. So in the end, I do buy it as a likely outcome of there not being a trade. Of Tennessee choosing to keep one of their better players, one of their core pieces, even though this year is, we can call it, it's cooked. It's not going to work out this year. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a good season for Tennessee. I think we know that at this time. Now, Simmons' numbers this year have been okay. The Tennessee Titans defense overall has actually been pretty good this year. You know, they've allowed like the fewest yards in football per game on defense. Now, it doesn't matter when your offense turns the ball over 4 times in a game and you allow 260-plus return yards. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of points allowed. That's not really the defense's fault, where stuff like EPA and context all comes into play there. And for Simmons, I remain a big fan of his game. I think he is more than just a 2024 piece. This would be a very different conversation if he had a year and a half or a half year left on his contract. That's not the case in Tennessee. I think he's still part of your core, which could be turned around pretty quickly, given the way the NFL tends to operate. So get your answers in for me for this question in the comments, the pinned comment, actually, of today's show. Would you trade Jeffery Simmons? Y for yes, N for no. Pinned comment. Ad's going to come on YouTube. Ignore the ad. Go to the pinned comment instead. Here's my mindset. Rand Carthon's job right now, the Titans GM, is to listen on any and all calls. Any call you get, you listen. That is your job as the GM. And those things happen a lot more than what typically gets leaked out, even the crazy ones. Remember the crazy story of the Commanders called every team about their quarterback and the Chiefs too? Happens more than you realize. It's just normally you don't bother calling the team, but whatever. That type of team. Your job right now is to focus on 2025. Look, this year's sunk. You're not making the playoffs. It's too late. It's basically impossible. So you have a player who's under contract for 3 more years after the season. Now, the cap hit you see right here, right now for Tennessee, numbers if traded. Now, the prorated figure for Simmons is $17 million. The prorated figure, so it's basically $1 million you take out each week, so $8 million you'd save and owe if you trade him. Yeah, I don't really see that's much benefit there. His contract isn't that bad. You can restructure it in 2025 if you want to free up some more savings. There's not that much in the way of guarantees left, by the way, on his deal. $6 million fully guaranteed for 2025. An additional $11.5 million of the base salary ends up guaranteeing after that. So it's not that bad to keep him, frankly. Now, my mindset for Tennessee, the guys on this roster, if you're not here in 2025, you can be traded. If we don't want to bring you back, because you're going to spend money in free agency, so don't play the comp pick game, frankly. If you're not under contract, if you're not a long-term piece, we will trade you. Tyler Boyd, we will listen to trade offers. It makes our receiving core really bad. You might have seen enough on Will Levis at this point. Anyway, Quandre Diggs, I will listen to trade calls on you because I am not, you're a free agent. You're an older safety. I can play some young guys. It's fine. If you're part of the plan, even just for 2025, I'll keep them. Unless I get blown away by a trade offer. If a team comes through and offers 2 first-round picks for Jeffery Simmons, okay, I'm in. I'm going to do that. I don't think anyone's going to offer that. Maybe you get a first-round pick. But I'm not just going to give them away for a day 2 pick. Like, I think that's... Because then you're spending that day 2 pick immediately on a defensive tackle to help fill that hole that you have now. And when I'm doing that, if he's going to be on my team next year, I'd rather just keep the veteran player who's really good at what he does. Even if there are moments of not perfect play, he's still a plus on your roster, I think, pretty clearly. Now, today's show is made possible by Game Time. It is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big event. Also, check out the Game Time Picks feature. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It filters out all the fluff to only show you the incredible deals on great seats. So don't have to waste time searching through thousands of different tickets. It is curation designed to help save you even more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and everything else in between as well. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without having to deal with the surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So if you're trying to go to any event, sports, etc., use Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. Let's talk Harold Landry. I've got a lot of defensive trade pieces on today's show. ESPN and some other outlets out there, but ESPN is the big one, have floated, hey, maybe you could trade away Harold Landry between now and the NFL trade deadline. Here's what ESPN's Theron Davenport wrote, part of an ESPN trade insider piece of, we're going to look at this, and this, blah, blah, blah. At 28 years old, Landry is a proven commodity under team control for the next 2 years at a modest $17.5 million annually. Gaining pass rush help at the trade deadline should be high on the needs list for most contenders, and Landry's ability to attack the quarterbacks would fill those voids. He has 4 sacks going into the Lions game this season. Landry's a good football player. He's under contract 2 more years at a pretty affordable rate, just like Davenport said. So I'm not trading him unless I get a strong return. I am keeping him on this roster unless I get a very strong offer, because I'm going to want him next year. Otherwise, I've got a massive hole at edge. When I got a big hole at quarterback, it's tough to fill both those needs at the same time, given the premiumness of those positions. So with that in mind, name a player who you want to trade. Maybe it's Landry. Maybe it's Simmons. Maybe you want to tear it down to the studs. Maybe you don't think Landry and Simmons are parts of those studs. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Look, if I were to trade away Landry, all of a sudden my number one pass rusher hole is wide open. I don't have great options. Landry is a pretty consistent double-digit sack guy. I don't know if he'll get there this year, in part because it's not like there's a lot of great pass rush chances. Like, the quality of opportunities have dropped because you're bad, and there aren't that many great statistical sack getters on bad football teams because the other team isn't throwing as much more often than not. So do keep that in mind, but the pressure rate's still really good for Landry. I think he's a very good football player. His cap hit's high this year. The new team is owed, again, about an average of the remaining weeks left, about $1 million. All they have to pay. Doable. Tennessee could eat money if they wanted to as well. The new team owes $17.5 million in 2025, 2026. It's not that bad. It's what Trey Flowers got years ago. It's fine. Now, the issue I have is, boy, if you trade away Harold Landry, okay, you have Arden Key. You can try Jalen Harrell as a starter. That's fine. But I feel like the lack of talent is very obvious. And I think a fair trade for Landry is probably like a second-round pick. I think that's about the right value for someone of his caliber. Well, guess what? I am then immediately spending the second-round pick on a pass rusher. I don't have depth behind him to be like, yeah, we don't need to take an edge. You're just getting younger is all you're doing, and probably worse, at least short term. Help us get to 10,000 subscribers here on Titans today. The goal was 10,000. We are 332 away, gaining ground. Help us get there. Don't miss out. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/Titans today. Let's talk Arden Key Trade. This is another idea from SB Nation, and this one intrigues me a little bit more than a potential Harold Landry trade. Arden Key is a fine player. He is by no means an elite specialist. If he's probably best as your number 3 pass rusher, and if you have an elite defensive lineman like Simmons, that works. And again, the Titans' defense is good. I think this is one that I am far more inclined to consider trading because you're not paying him very much this year, so he's super cheap. The cap hit next year is not that bad for a new team, $7 million. You're not paying him that much in cash. There's no more guaranteed money left, so you save a little bit of money in the process here. This one makes sense to me. All the names we discussed today. You had Simmons, Harold Landry, Arden Key's fine. Because he's part of your 2025 plan, but that's it. And he might not be part of your 2026 plan. And you probably want to draft another edge rusher before the 7th round in this upcoming class anyway. So if you can get an early-ish day 3 pick because the contract is cheap, because he's somewhat productive, maybe it's only a 5th or a 6th rounder, and that's all you get, maybe you don't want to do it then. That's the type of name that I think Ran Carthon will be much more inclined to listen on, to consider getting a trade going for, because it's not nearly as detrimental to your long-term status, and he's probably he's cheap, so he's probably got some decent value, more than you might think for his overall statistical production.